I've been seeing Matt a lot. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of Results Staffing and Raquel Boris of Rock the Boat. And we have a great guest tonight, CEO David Sernes of Haley Marketing. And we'll be right back right after this. All right. Well, that was very looking like a movie, wasn't it?
That got me going. I like that.
I like it, right? It only costs $18 on the Fever app. That's it. The Fever app. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Great. I want to thank you so much again. I mean, just having you on here and asking you the questions that I know I'm going to ask. I have a lot of them.
And I asked to get on because I knew you were coming on. So I asked David, I go,
please
bring it on
with you, please.
Please.
Let's have some fun.
I know your time's valuable too and everything, but Dave, I'm gonna go right into it because I got some questions for you. And a lot of the issues that I go through is with my website.
Sure.
You have everybody feeding you different information all the time, and I could change it all the time. But when I looked everybody, let me tell you, first of all, you got to go on the website and download the 150. There's 150 questions on here that'll see how good you're doing for your company. And I want to thank you for it, Dave, because there's a lot. This is something here. But when you said for the website, like site loading under 2 seconds, do you design effective limit images and video to perform well on your mobile? How do you know?
You test it.
Things?
So now I can't tell you everything, and this isn't because I'm trying to keep secrets, because I'm not a web developer. Right. So our web development team, when they build, they test. And so, but I will certainly go to Google's tools to do a page load test or speed test. And it will tell you, how does your site perform on desktop? How does it perform on mobile? What are all the issues? Google will tell you that. And if you don't have to be a technical expert to know how to fix those things, but then you have to hand it to the guy who built your website and said, what can we do about these issues? Now, some of them may be easy to address, some of them not so much. But David, to your question, like video tends to take longer to load. And right now, if you're on a smart device, like a lot of people like to have a background video, kind of just, it's gratuitous, but it makes a site a little more engaging on desktop. On mobile, you'll degrade so that's a static image so that the site will load faster on mobile, because Google will really penalize you for slow load speed on mobile. My guess is with 5G this year rolling out, that's going to invert, because now mobile is going to be faster than desktop. So it's going to be interesting to see how website builds change as technology changes.
That's what we had talked about last time. And when you went into the SEO of like a video, and I've been like on my website now, I have media. So I have all the videos of even all of us, every single YouTube video on the one site. Does that do anything for that? There's a lot of things. So just putting a video on your website doesn't change your SEO. Okay.
But if the video gets people to stay longer on a web page, that improves your SEO. If the video drives more traffic to that web page and you're getting more volume of traffic, that improves your SEO. If the video gets someone to click to go to another page in your website because maybe you had a call to action to see something else, that improves your SEO. So what we love to do with videos is take the videos, and then we use a service called Rev, R-E-V, to get transcripts made. And now a 30-minute or 15-minute video becomes a 1,500 to 3,000 word blog post. Now you've got lots of content for Google to search, and it's filled with very relevant keywords, assuming you had a discussion about something that your audience is interested in.
So when you say video, does it have to be native video? Because like, for instance, I'm actually getting a website ready to be built for myself. I haven't had one, believe it or not. Here I do branding and social media, and I didn't have one. So I specifically want to have like my YouTube channel video on the website. Does that make a difference? Because that's driving people to another platform.
So what you can do is you actually, I absolutely recommend, whether it's Vimeo, Wistia, it's YouTube. You want a hosting platform for your video that's optimized to host video. Your web host probably isn't optimized to host video. And then you're going to embed it. So Google will give you the embed codes. Your web developer will know, I can embed the video right in the site. So it looks like it's native on your site, but it's not. It's actually sitting somewhere that it's optimized to run. Usually, though, you don't want to just say, hey, click here and go to YouTube, because now, my sports analogy, you got home field advantage when they're on your website.
Right.
You go to somebody else, it's no longer home field advantage.
Yeah,
and now
then they go somewhere else.
Yeah, they get distracted, and you're going to get distracted. YouTube wants to keep you on YouTube, so they're going to show you lots of other videos to keep you there, but now I'm not paying attention to your brand anymore.
That's what the same thing, like when they say on LinkedIn, put it on the contents, don't have everybody go from Facebook to LinkedIn back and forth.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Now, David, will say, kind of to Raquel's question, native video when you come to social is really important. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you want to be creating video on LinkedIn. You want to be creating video on Facebook because it gives you such a bump in the algorithms. Mm-hmm. But from your website, where you ask the question, no, it doesn't have to sit on your same server as your website.
Gotcha.
All right. So if you want to drive to your website, what's the best way then? If now that since I've met you last, is I have a job site, job boards on there now for the video resume screen they put. I want to get more people now. I have to get them to my website because that's where the jobs are. So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I drive the traffic for the candidates to get there?
So how you think about it? How do you find a website? Okay, I find a website because somebody's searching for something. So I've got to think about SEO. So on your job site, is the Google schema markup for Google for Jobs added into every job post so that you're in that little blue box, Google for Jobs? That has to happen. Are you doing other SEO so that every job, when you add a job post to your website, is the software you're using creating a unique web page for every individual job? So if you have 10 jobs or 50 jobs, you're adding 10 or 50 new pages to your website. That's more good content for Google to index. Then the other way you're thinking about SEO is more content. So more blog posts. Am I adding more pages to the site? A blog post, every time you add a post, that's adding another web page that can be indexed, that you can write content around. But SEO is only one way to get people to the site. So now you can look at all the rest of digital marketing. I can do paid advertising, whether it's on social, whether it's on Google search, Google display. I can be thinking about all of the social sharing I'm going to do. Maybe you're posting an individual job that you're sharing because it's such a good job and you're putting it in a place on social that the exact right audience. So maybe I go to a Facebook group that targets that specific demographic or location and I post a job that may bring people to my job board. But maybe I'm doing something general, like I'm doing just general laborers or I'm doing warehouse people. So posting one job is probably not going to get anybody's attention.
Right.
But maybe you start creating social posts that talk about, hey, we have 50 new job openings paying up to $18 an hour. So, you advertise the quantity of what's available. You advertise the most desirable job opportunities if you're trying to maximize traffic to your website. So what else can we do? We love using email signatures. So at the end of your email signature, are you sharing some of the content, a featured job, all about the job board, a featured blog post, some other download people can get? So every time you're emailing somebody anywhere, you're driving them back to your website. And I can go on and on. There's, you want to think about every possible external source where somebody could find you or someone else could refer you, and then get your website there.
Get it there, because that's what I'm going to have to work on next of this.
You have it on your Instagram, David? So I was just, because I know you have results staff on your Instagram page. Do you have your website on right there on your profile, things like that, where you're optimizing?
We do on our company Instagram page.
David Wilson.
For me, I do have that on now on the email signatures and social media. I have everything on there. They can click on it and go to it. but I just gonna have to start, like you said. I didn't think of these are the little things you think you know it, but that simple thing of saying, "Hey, we have 20 new jobs." That's going to catch somebody's attention, and I see what you mean there, because that would get my attention if I was looking for work.
The other thing that this was on, we had a webinar today on our roadmap recommendations for 2021, and one of the guys on the webinar with me, I can't give you the topic because he didn't say on the show what it was, but we said for one of our clients, they took a topic and they wrote a blog post, and they knew it was a real hot button issue for candidates in this specific job function. This company is getting up to 1,100 visitors a day going to that blog post.
Wow.
So it's not how much do I do, it's how relevant is it for the people I want to reach.
Well, then like when you talk about social media, then like Raquel does a lot of the social media and branding, it's the same thing. You would have all of the information that she does, like blogs, a lot of blogs about what you do, or your postings are on there also. Like when you're on social media all the time and your website's connected with that helps.
So again, just putting stuff on social doesn't do anything for SEO.
Okay.
More traffic coming to you from social media, because like Raquel talked about, a great story about, just sharing a silly incident of spilling coffee and turning that into a lesson and making it fun and engaging to watch. That's fantastic social media, because storytelling is what happens in social and one-to-one connection. But then I want to see more, bring you back to the website to see more.
That makes.
And so let me ask you this, because I had just mentioned that I am creating this website. I'm not doing it personally, but what would you say is the most important thing that someone should focus when they are, creating a website? Like, what is the number one thing?
What actions do you want people to take?
Okay.
Do I want them to fill out a contact form? Do I want them to call me? Do I want them to use a chatbot to start a conversation? Am I trying to get them to apply to a job? What actions? And make a list. Here's all the things I want someone to be able to do for my website. Then this is the field of study is called conversion path optimization. So you're trying to get conversions, which is getting people to fill out that form. But what's the path? So if you look at your website, a lot of people tend to think, I'm designing from the homepage down.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way people are going to come into your website. People are going to come into your website directly because of a job post. They're going to come into your website directly from a blog post. As people come into different entry pages, how are those optimized to get to the action I want people to take? Do I have a fly out or pop up to get someone's attention? Those can be very effective and also very annoying, but they can be very effective in getting people to take action. Do I one of the things we do is at the end of every blog post, there's a graphic with a call to action. So it's not just text or a link, it's actually a graphic. And we built a plugin for WordPress so that anybody in our team, you don't have to be a designer, you don't have to be a programmer, you could make a graphical call to action. Why? 19% more people took an action by adding that graphic to the end of the blog post.
Yeah.
Would that matter on each tab also? Like a tab, would it be the same thing, or it's got to go to something?
Well, what you're thinking about, David, is anywhere someone's going, how do I get to the tab? How do I get to the next step? How do I make it easy to take the actions? And really good websites. I mean, if you look at Indeed, you look at Google, what do? You show up, there's one thing, fill in the box. Now, most of our businesses, we're explaining what we do. We're explaining about our services. It's not just that one function, but what is the function your visitor's coming to do? Is it to get a job? Can I do that right from the top of the homepage? Is it to learn more about your services? What's the action I can take right there? I'd say the biggest mistake we say is most people want to get so focused on telling their story, not what the visitor wants to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your conversion path is getting the person to what they want to do and tying it to what you want them to do in the least amount of steps.
Okay. No, that helps a lot because, I'm a visual person and I'm a creative person. So for me, I'm thinking, I need to make it look pretty. I need to have it. But you're right. It can look as pretty as I want it to look. But if it's not actually doing what I want the visitors to do, then I really am missing kind of the boat on that one. Okay, that makes sense.
The next thing, Raquel, that we did, because we're building our own new website. So
Okay.
There's nothing worse than a marketing company trying to build its own website.
I could be saying.
It's way too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes.
But one of the things we do is we do a lot of benchmarking. So we said, hey, we live and die by inbound leads. That's how our company exists. So who are other examples of organizations that are really good at inbound marketing? And so we said, okay, HubSpot, they're the kings of inbound marketing. How do they design their website? I mean, we've been grilling every page on their website to see how they're structured.
Check them out now.
I guarantee Steve's over there saying as soon as
Googling it too.
Yeah, I mean, we learned so much, and we used some of what they did, and then we used some other things from other sites without trying to create a Frankenstein's monster of just all these different best practices, but figuring out what do we love about their site that works, and how do we then make it our brand so it doesn't look like HubSpot when we're done.
Right.
Well, when I was looking on your lead generation sheet here, I know you have your sheet, right?
I got to read along.
All right. So can clients contact you within one click when viewing their site on any device? And then the other one that I was wondering was, does your website incorporate candidate skill marketing? Because that's what I'm trying to do when I have the video resume screening. That's where they push on it. I'm trying to think what that means, like candidate skill marketing does the website.
So, in the staffing recruiting industry, MPC calls have been backbone of bringing in business since recruiting was invented and somebody created a telephone. So everybody has made MPC calls. And then I'm going to show my age. Then MPC calls became faxing hot candidates out to companies to try to get back a bunch of job orders. And then it became email blasting. So there are very few companies that are turning candidates into content and actually building out robust profiles of candidates that you can go through and look to hire. There are some organizations doing that really successfully, the online staffing companies. I go to Upwork, that's what I do. I go through a database of talent and I self-service find what I want. So we don't see many staffing companies doing this. And the reason they don't do it, they usually can't get their recruiters to create the profiles to put on the website.
Yeah,
I hate that excuse, but that is the barrier.
That answers me there, because I'm confused on some of the job postings to get those keywords. Like when I told you about Career Builder and my frustrations of getting candidates to apply for the job on Career Builder, then go to my website also. So it's kind of like, all right, I got to push them both out. And if one's doing poor, well, they're both doing not that well right now. I'm just an honest person. I got to get it boosted. I got to get them out there, and I got to figure out a way because all this stuff here you're talking about of your landing page, it should go to something else, right? Like if you land on the job page, you want that person to kind of go to your next.
Well, no, I want that person to apply. So if someone comes in at a job, if that's their entry point, that's it. That's as close to quote unquote close to the money as you can be.
Right.
So I want to do everything to get that person to apply. If they are not ready to apply, then there's two actions I want them to take. Opt in for job alerts. So now I can continuously market to you, or view other jobs that are similar to find one you might like better. Those are the two actions I need from the job page. If I take you anywhere else, I'm taking you further away from applying for a job, and I don't want to do that.
That makes sense, because the clients, I feel on my webpage, I feel the candidates are more important now than the clients. That's the way I'm looking at it, because I'm trying to figure, I want clients and I want candidates.
Well, I totally agree with you. And if you think about the candidates right now, it's not just about the job. What are we all dealing with? Okay, we're dealing with, we can't see one another face to face. Tonight on the way home, I stopped by a local grocery store, ran into two old friends I haven't seen in ages. And they're like, yeah, this is like the only time we go out of the house is to go to Wegmans and do our grocery shopping. And I haven't seen them since March. And they said, like, going out to dinner with you guys was like the last thing we did as a couple with anybody. It's like, it's been since March. I didn't want to tell them we've done a lot, but
We're like, oh, okay. I don't know
They're
what
really-
you're talking about.
The husband's a doctor and he's really good about this stuff.
Yeah.
But if you think about the way people are engaging now, we have to think in bigger terms about getting people to do the right things.
To get them there and Raquel, the way you utilize Instagram a lot, Raquel's, when I look at, well, you've been doing it for so long, you get a lot of people. So Instagram can drive to your website also, right? You want to utilize.
Well, I mean, obviously I don't have a website right now, but I have the link to my YouTube channel, for instance, on my profile, because I am trying to, get subscribers onto that channel since it's brand new. But I definitely need a website though, because I can't tell you how many people, reach out to me like, what's your website? I mean, I own a couple domains. I've just been really bad about it. They say like the hairdresser is always the one that's really bad about doing their hair, and like the nail person. It's the same thing with me where, I get so caught up and busy in doing my own stuff that some things have gone by the wayside, but.
Yeah, and I think Instagram's hard, particularly as you know, Raquel, is because I can't put the link right in the post. So I got to either get people to go to the profile. They're not as likely to do that, or maybe I've got to put something in the image. Give me a hashtag somebody use that I can follow. Give me another somewhere else that maybe they'll go, or put something in a comment that will take them to somewhere else, because I'm more limited on Instagram.
Yeah,
Facebook
Instagram is definitely tough with that. Yeah.
I haven't played with, I don't think we've had any clients playing with, but I'd love, Messenger. So Facebook owns Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. So they're trying to build the tighter integration. Can I start to build communication, not by getting people to a website, but let's jump into Messenger for a conversation, because that's closer to Instagram. Yeah. And now I'm going to go to more of a chat-based interaction.
Have you
I've noticed that go up. I've noticed a lot more people are reaching out to me through Facebook Messenger, which wasn't a thing for me. But now that you have the separate app for it, it's amazing how many people are kind of going over there now to chat.
Yeah. And Facebook's okay with that because you're still staying in one of their properties. So
right.
You're still on their home turf.
All right. Go ahead.
I was going to kind of, because this is something we had touched upon before we went live. Here we're talking about, kind of all the logistical things with their websites and marketing and social media and kind of the technical pieces. But you were talking about how you really believe in grassroots approach, right? And I do the same thing. So what kind of grassroots approach do you do, along with obviously all the technological stuff and, the fashion forward, tips? Like what would be grassroots for you?
So here's where I'm a total contrarian. Is I use the analogy being at the express lane in the supermarket. Where aren't people marketing? So I'm a huge fan of direct mail. Why? Because no one's doing it.
No one's doing it anymore.
And it was like, oh my gosh, you're so dated. You do direct mail. It's like, okay, I'll be one of 4 things in somebody's inbox on their desk, as opposed to one of 400 emails they got today. So I'm a big fan of that. For our clients with recruiting, some of the really simple creating visibility locally, whether it's signs out front of a building, whether it's inflatables. I mean, it's silly things, whether it's getting your whole team showing up at an event, well branded together and making a big scene because you're having fun, that attracts people to you. And those grassroots kinds of things usually are not very expensive.
Right.
And there's not a lot of competition to get people's attention. And that doesn't negate the value of all the digital. It's to use it in conjunction with all the digital.
Right. And then you stand out, because that's the whole point too, is that you have to differentiate yourself from everybody else. So if you're doing something that nobody's doing anymore, then you're going to stand out. I mean, that's why I do a lot of what I do. I see what everybody else is doing. I'm like, I'm going to do the opposite. Right? Like everybody's
always
kind of doing, like the overproduced videos, or they're doing the, the slides. And I get the algorithms do honor things like that, because right now, like for instance, LinkedIn, they love slides. So anybody that's doing these slide posts, they're getting a lot of traction. But at the same time, I'm like, I still want to stand out. So that's why I like today when I was I did a video in my living room with, the dog was like trying to play with me. I was talking about how I can't pronounce Callan-Leap correctly. Everybody else like have to say Callan-Leap. But I got a ton of engagement on it because you could tell it was very impromptu, and I'm playing with the dog and I'm being really honest about the fact that, like, you know, I can't pronounce this thing. And so that's why I do that, because no one's really, everyone thinks that, oh, you can't do that. You can't just do an impromptu video and not have like a ring light or, you know, a microphone or have it edited. Yes, you can.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you're humanizing your brand. Yeah. Which is how you want to be seen. Now, if you were IBM, maybe you're not going to do that to humanize your brand, because that's not how you want to be seen. If I'm not in a blue suit, white shirt and a red tie, I'm not IBM. Yeah. And I know that's dated, but the idea is whatever you do in any form of communication should really fit the brand message you want to send. And to your point, am I creating engagement? And also, am I creating engagement with the people who are my audience? Mm-hmm. Is it my tribe that I'm creating? I think that was the Seth Godin book, Tribes. I really have to, I don't have to appeal to the world. Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of small businesses and they go really broad on their marketing. Like, oh, I want to do these things to market to everybody in marketing. Like, how many new clients do you need to hit your goals this year? 5. Okay, you need 5 clients. Okay, we don't need to market to 10,000 people to get 5 clients. Let's figure out where your 5 best prospects are, your 50 best prospects, and focus on them and make them notice you and really engage with them. And again, if you're recruiting and your audience is 5,000, but what's going to resonate with the right candidates as opposed to resonating with the wrong candidates?
Yeah, because once they get, what I've liked about the video is once they know you, like when they know you, they trust you, it gets everybody. And that's why I try to even say at the end of a video, make sure you go to www.resultstaff.com or anything to start driving them there. I was looking under your content strategy, and I know with reviews is a lot. Like I did my monthly meeting thing, and I didn't know I was supposed to reply to the reviews. Okay, thank you, Rick. You know what I mean? But I didn't do those things. And I guess they were the kind of things that they tell you that you have to. And then you had on here third-party reviews. Is that something that when you're saying the third party, like the logistics center, let's just say they're doing work for FedEx, you'd want the other company to review you?
No, what we're talking about there is first-party reviews are people directly on your site. So testimonials, case studies, any really social credibility that's going to be on your site. Could be videos, could be text. Third-party reviews refers to third-party review sites. So am I managing my Google reviews? Am I managing my Facebook reviews? Am I managing my Indeed reviews, Glassdoor? You do have to pay attention to all those because you can take a hit anywhere. And if somebody's seriously interested in you, they're looking for you and they're probably typing in the name of your company followed by the word review.
Yeah, because that's where the reputation management, where I noticed that you talked about.
Yeah, it's about being proactive.
I haven't gone on Glassdoor. I haven't gone on a lot of these sites and seeing, after reading this, I'm gonna see if you find one or two things. Because with Hootsuite, with social media, it shows me all my negatives, which I don't have that many. I mean, it's mostly neutral, but
because if you're in staffing, you get negatives. You can't avoid it.
I know. They're just nobody ever puts on there, you're doing a great job and fabulous. It's usually like 1 out of 10.
Well, the nature of the beast is you're only going to place a select percentage of the people you interview, and everybody else thinks you didn't do your job.
Yeah. That's the truth. I can get that. All right, your turn, Raquel, because I'm looking at my next one here.
Okay. Going back to once again, like before we got on live, we were talking about how obviously, David, you're on here, you're giving us a lot of information, you're really educating us, giving a lot of content for free, which is something I do as well. But I want to touch upon how important that is too, how David was talking about knowing and liking and trust you. We do it, right? So that people get to know us, and like us, and trust us, so that when they do need our service, they're going to go, I want to go to Raquel because I know that she knows what she's talking about, or I want to go to David because he definitely knows what he's talking about marketing. Look at all the information that he's given me that has been useful. And so I think that's key, right? Is for people to be a little bit more generous with their knowledge.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'll tell you a quick story in a second, but I will say I've talked to a lot of people in the staffing and recruiting industry, and we'll suggest content like, we really should write a great piece on how to recruit. Mm-hmm. And we'll get feedback saying, I don't want to give away my expertise. I don't want to give away that. That's why people hire me, because of my knowledge.
Yeah.
And our argument is but giving away your knowledge, number one, it shows you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it shows your transparency, because usually you're showing your process.
Yeah.
And number three, if you do it well, you're showing how hard it is to do what you do.
Yeah.
And you're actually showing people they don't want to do it themselves.
Exactly.
Because people tend to assume things they don't know are easy.
Yeah.
It's only when they really get into the weeds. But one of my favorite stories is when we started back in 1996, we were doing content marketing. You know, think back, this was pre-social. This was, for a lot of people in our industry, pre having a website. For many companies, pre-email as a communications tool. So we would mail out every month to our target list a little green envelope, and inside would be a letter from David and some interesting 2 to 3 page article that we typed up in Microsoft Word and stuffed in the envelope. And I remember after about 6 months, we sent this mailing saying, we don't want to be wasting your time. So if you'd like off of our direct mail list, just give us a call and let us know. And this guy called me from Seattle, and he said, David, I know why you're marketing to me. I'm not a staffing company. I said, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be wasting your time. And he said, wait. And he then proceeded to tell me his life story. And I am not exaggerating. He spoke somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes without taking a breath, just telling me everything about his family and how he started his business and how he had evolved and why I thought he was a staffing company. And he finally took a breath and he said, David, I have no idea why I'm telling you any of this. I just feel like I know you because of the content you've shared with me, even though this is the first time we've spoken. And that's the power of that sharing ideas.
Well, that's what I told you. Like, I told you, and Dave, I talked at the recruiters today. I swear, look at it all. This is all daily marketing. And I said, girls, just go there and start printing. And I said, you're going to learn so much, because you don't realize when you start going down these lists, how much work it is. So to outsource it, if I would have known, I told you before, now I wish I would have outsourced my webpage as a smaller business in the beginning. I would have went to the experts in the beginning versus this whole 1.5 years of finally learning and getting traffic. It shouldn't have took me that long, so I know, but you try to
learn, it's always, I'm like trying to be nice about it. David's over there like, shame on you.
I know, right? With hell marketing, but you think about that. Now it took me to learn that it could have been done like that.
Well, and it's, I understand it's sometimes it is too expensive. It's not in the budget to get things done, but sometimes the amount that you invest in what it saves you in getting your own experience, right, more than offsets the cost. And there's times it goes both ways. It's not like we always say yes to hiring an expert every single time.
Yeah. Right. And then you refer him over to David, to his marketing. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about like, hey, this is something that I learned, and I want to share my experience with you so that others out there don't go through what I go through. And hey, by the way, who could really help you is someone like Haley Marketing, because that's what they, and that's what they, and why am I blanking out on the word?
You're blanking out.
Specialize in, right? But I love to do that too. I like to say, hey, I effed up, I made a mistake, but let me tell you how I fixed it. And then maybe this is the person that can help you fix it too. And then you kind of have that collaboration with other people, and you're helping them out, and then they help you out. I mean, it's a whole.
The other thing, I'll tell you, Raquel, going back to the Great Recession. So we started doing webinars in 2008, just prior to the Great Recession. And then when we first started doing them, we made them free for clients, and we charged other people to attend. And then the Great Recession hit. And one of the things we did is we said, you know what? We know there's a lot of companies that just need help. And we're going to try to do everything we can do to help companies to survive. And we said, all of our webinars are free. And we've been doing that for 12 years now. Mm. So I remember a company in Connecticut called me about 2013 and said, David, you don't know me. So we have been listening to your webinars and downloading content from your website for years. But in the middle of the Great Recession, we were this close to being out of business. And we went to your website and we stole all your ideas. And we never asked you to do anything. Said, but the only reason we're still in business is we implemented what you said to do.
Yeah.
And to me, that felt better than if they had been a customer all those years, because you really impacted somebody. And that's the power of sharing ideas, is you're helping people sometimes in ways you don't even know. And it feels so good. And then maybe it's the karma of the universe, but it always comes back to benefit you.
And that's why, here's Janie. She's from Australia. She's always, she's having such a hard time. Yeah, she's having such a hard time. Sorry, Janie, you didn't get the job. I know she's make you even feel better. The next one, she got off of, she's been having such a hard time finding a job, and we're doing the video resume. And I feel, she wants to work, and she struggles the same way, but she wanted to say hi. So there she is.
She and I, we've had a phone call, actually.
Right?
Or we were trying to, but it was
trying to. Next question I have was, what did it says, have you considered creating an RSS feeds of jobs by skill or recruiter and then automating social sharing?
Yeah. So if your career site has the ability to do, let's say you can do a search. So I can search for all of the forklift driver jobs in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
A lot of job boards have the ability to save that search, and then you can get an RSS feed of that search. So the RSS feed is just a URL that pulls content that matches certain criteria. So let's say I'm a recruiter, David, working for your organization, and I place forklift drivers in Pittsburgh. I could get a feed of my jobs and then integrate that through tools like Deliverit or Buffer. So my feed is grabbing content from my website, and just the right content is then going out to social media. So I'm not sharing every job and killing my network. I'm sharing really relevant stuff based on what I do. And so that's an example of doing an RSS feed. You can also sometimes go to third-party sites and curate that content to mix it into what you're sharing in social media, so that you're building your personal brand by sharing some of your own stuff and sometimes third-party stuff.
So you want to try to, so is that like when you say, say, for example, let's just say Indeed, every time I talk to all the job boards, they say, well, it's pushed out to all the other job boards, like one place, so that it goes to all multiple ones. Is that what you mean?
It's a little different there, because what I'm referring to is actually an individual grabbing this feed and sharing it on their social media so that they're building their personal brand. What Indeed's talking about there, or other places, it's more of a job distribution where you put it on one job board, and then that job board or that distribution company pushes it out to a bunch of others. So like our career portal software, we push out to a dozen aggregators. You put it on your own website, it goes to a dozen other sites. That's more of what you're talking about there. The first thing with the RSS feed, though, is for an individual recruiter, salesperson who's trying to build their brand with really relevant content, can use a feed to enhance what they're sharing.
Okay, because that's where I was wondering when you read that, it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
The
practical reality is the ideal thing would be people would physically go to the social network and share themselves manually, because that's going to get them the best distribution of their content. Adding some automation in makes it feasible, because after a decade of trying to coerce recruiters and salespeople to share content, we gave up and wrote our own software to get them to do it, because we couldn't get them to do it because they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that? Like share their content with?
Share the company's content. So your company's producing content. You'd love it if your recruiters would share your content. It's going to get about 8 times more reach, 7 times more engagement than if it's just from Results Staffing brand site. Because when individuals share content, it goes further. So you want your people sharing all that content you're paying to create. You're paying in dollars or paying in time. You want them sharing it, but getting them to do it is so hard that we found a way to automate it.
Why is it so hard? I mean, I would think that as an employee of a company, if I really like my company and I really believe in them and everything, I would want to share their content. I would want to share that I work for them. So why is it so difficult?
Well, I can't say for sure. No, I think I'm an owner of a company. Like if I have to manually share my company's content by going to our blog and grabbing a URL or clicking a link to share to LinkedIn, it's just not part of my daily routine. And for years, we told people, book 22 minutes of your day devoted to social. And in that time, spend some time building your networks and the rest of the time sharing content and one-to-one communicating, posting in groups. We just couldn't get people to do it. And Raquel, I think it's just a matter of, it's one more task, it's one more part of work, and I'm already overwhelmed. So if I can go home and just surf or do fun stuff with my friends on social media, that's all I'm doing.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, I was in the mortgage industry and I was a brand manager for a company. I was the face of their company, and they hired me to also internally help all the loan officers with their social media. And let me tell you, it was like
same thing.
It was awful. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, you guys have someone internally that is actually going to help you with your social media, and still nobody's like raising their hands, like help. So, yeah, it is difficult. So then let me ask you this, because you hear more and more about how a lot of people are hiring through recommendations, just people knowing somebody, just the networking piece of it. So obviously, David, you're with a staffing company, you're doing all the right things, the processes, but then there's people out there saying like, I don't even have a resume. Like I just network and I just connect with the right people, and then that's how I get a job. So, I mean, what do you say to that, where people are just like, forget staffing, I'm just going to go out there and meet somebody?
Well, that's saying I'm the chairman of the American Staffing Association's marketing committee.
Okay.
And the issue the industry has is a bad brand, particularly with candidates. So there's a general lack of awareness. 4 out of 5 candidates don't think about turning to a staffing company when they're looking for work.
Yeah.
So ASA, we're working on that. Then when people do think about staffing or the word temp, which is truly a 4-letter word, it's got such a negative connotation. So if you ask your friends, what's it mean to be a temp? Oh, they're people who couldn't get jobs. Oh, it's low quality jobs. Jobs don't pay anything. It's only clerical or industrial. Did you know temps are doctors? Did you know temps are scientists, engineers, life sciences professionals? Did you know almost every IT person in a big company is a temp?
I know someone who's a temp ER nurse, and he gets flown to different hospitals around the country as a
travel
temp.
Nursing's huge. But to your point, Raquel, is that people don't think of it turning to a staffing company, and the industry's got to do better. But individually in your community, how do you build the brand of, we're the people who help connect people to jobs? And maybe the job I have today is not the one you want to end up in, but the job I have today is probably one you can get hired into a lot faster, so I can accelerate your path to employment. And then you look at all the benefits we can provide as an industry, but it's an uphill battle because we're fighting perception. And David, to the earlier comment about advertising your best jobs, one thing staffing companies are usually terrified of doing is, I don't want to put the name of my client in my ad. Or have a logo on my website.
I know. That's what I mean. I hear.
And I'm a huge proponent of, man, if that brand is better than my brand, then I want to be associated with that brand, because that tells the world, hey, this company trusts me. I must be pretty good. Yeah. So I remember we had a client in IT staffing in the Bay Area, and they had these logos scrolling across the bottom of their website, and my jaw dropped the first time I worked with them. I'm like, these are your clients? And like, yeah. And I said, and your clients, these companies, these were all the big .com companies. These companies gave you permission to put their logos on your website? And he said, hell no. Those are my clients. I didn't ask. I just put them up there. And as soon as they tell me to take it down, I will. But in 12 years, nobody ever told me to take it down.
See, thank you, Steve. Steve's listening to that, because that is one of the biggest things. And do you get clients that come to you for like the reputation management you can help to get by that? Because I say the same thing. Oh, look, I have this job here, Brenningsville, Pennsylvania, $15, $18 an hour. Come on down with your steel shoe boots and you're ready to go. Or, hey, I'm over here at Nestle Waters right now. They drink water. You know what I mean? So why does a company not want to do that? Because of a reputation?
No, they're usually afraid of doing it because they're afraid their competitors are going to know where their jobs are, and then the competitor's going to go after those companies. And my feedback is if the strength of your relationship is the name of the company, you're in trouble because your competitors are already calling on those well-known brands.
Yep. And that's why I try to tell them that, like with Crayola over here, they don't care. Crayola, if I said right now, Crayola's having a job fair tomorrow, everybody in Easton, which they're not, but I'm serious. When I was with Crayola and iHerb and FedEx, they allowed me to utilize. Yeah. So I felt like I had a brand, and it would draw the people. It would draw versus saying we're having a job fair. Come down, 14 employers. Wow.
You can go and I don't know legality. You have to check this, but to even put in the ad, we are an official hiring partner with.
Right.
Why do small companies say we're the official supplier to a pro sports team or to the NFL, the NHL? Because associating your brand with a bigger brand lifts you up. Yeah,
man, I am gonna post this snippet everywhere, just that right there, because look at me smiling. I'm telling you, I don't like sitting there. I have jobs right now, 4 of them, but I can't say them. I hate it because I want to be able to talk to these companies and say, please let me say your name. You're going to be successful. People will be saying like, oh, I'll work there, but they don't know it because I can't say it. Or on my jobs, it just says jobs, forklift, Brenningsville.
Yeah, I don't understand that because once again, brand awareness, people know brands. Like, for instance, I love freaking Starbucks. I'll admit it. Like, you know what I mean? And if someone said, hey, there's a job and they didn't give the Starbucks, but it was just like I don't know, marketing assistant or whatever for a company. But then they put Starbucks on there. I would be more inclined to be like, I am definitely applying for that job because I'm a huge fan of Starbucks. And how cool would it be to just get into that company? Because remember, because you might not want that particular job, but if you can get into the company anyway and work your way around it, why wouldn't I don't do that?
No, and again, if you're not paranoid about your competitors, but the client prohibits you, so maybe I can go down, get a cup of Starbucks coffee, get the latest Christmas cup, and in my ad show a picture of, market the world's greatest coffee.
Yeah.
I don't have to say Starbucks. Everybody's gonna know where that cup came from.
Yeah.
See, I used to go on Facebook Lives and I'll be like, hey, I'm over here and doing social sales. I'll be like, hey, I'm over at James River Corporation. I just met some great people. That was the background. I knew they were having staffing issues. And then my prior company, the new manager, he told me no more of that. None. Even the top salespeople, no. I'm like, why? I was doing my job. That means I was there, you could tell. And they said because everybody was getting leads from me. Where to go? Well, if you want to go down to James River, go. Yeah. But I'm very good at what I do, so I want to talk to them. And by me going out there, I just feel like you said, the brand. I like James River. I've never heard anything bad about them. And if you want to
be confident in their company, I mean, that just shows that they have a lack of confidence because they think that their competitor is going to take that candidate. It's like, no, why don't you show that you're an amazing company? So no, you won't have competition.
Yeah, right. The other thing it could do, and I don't know with HR if this would always happen, but like David, if I said, hey, we're a proud partner with Results Staffing, now that could benefit me because it shows that we work with you, but you probably feel pretty good that somebody else wants to show off your brand. Mm-hmm. That makes you feel good about that company, and it strengthens the relationship between the organizations. Now, HR is a different animal, and they get paranoid about legal issues, so I don't know that will happen with them. But for a small to medium-sized business owner to say, can I use your logo when we advertise? Because I think our brands together will get you better candidates.
Yes, exactly. That's why Raquel's on my website.
People, I mean, like on LinkedIn, why do you think people tag people that have large followings? Like I get tagged a lot or I get mentioned because they think, okay, if I'm associated with this person who has a big brand or a big, large network, then I look like I'm someone that might be, it's the same thing with people with companies. And so it just surprised me that these companies aren't utilizing that.
Yeah, that frustrates me because you look at my job boards, I'll tell everybody, look at it, it's boring. So if the companies that are hiring, give me permission and I will tell you, and I'm
you see UPS on there, you see FedEx, you see something, a Taco Bell or whatever, it's that brand awareness. And you're thinking, wow, I'm going to work for a really large corporation. That means really good health benefits. That means that, maybe I'll get some cool swag. I don't know, whatever sure it's going to draw to them there, but I would think that would help.
Absolutely. And you'll pay, you'll have to spend less on job advertising, and you're going to get more candidates than you can place. But now those candidates are available for other clients as long as you can work with the candidates so they want to take those other jobs.
Wow.
I mean, it lowers your cost of recruiting a ton.
I'm learning a lot about recruiting right now. This is really great.
Yeah, recruiting 101.
To do something about changing the perception of what it means to.
Well, I have a great company right now. It's the initials are TF. It's a great medical company. When you get hired in there, I am telling you, you're staying there for 20 years. But yet I cannot. I'm not going to say it because I won't. They all know I won't. They say, Dave,
you said TF.
I push it to the limit. They know it.
Doctor, maybe I know this company.
It's a packaging technician. So when you say a packaging technician, it's just like the word temp. I don't like it. My last 3 jobs all my life have been through temporary agencies. If I was to lose this job tomorrow, I would go to all 20 of them, sign up. This is what I want to make. This is what I'm looking for. Now you got 20 people looking for a job for you. But I don't like that word temper. I like associate because the same thing. Oh, he's just a temp, or they're just a temp. I don't like that.
It's a 4-letter word.
Yeah, it's a 4-letter word, and I just think it makes you, like you said, I was a temp and I got a job. I don't know. You work for me. If you're working for me, you have a job. And I'm fine with that. But that's the kind of stuff that I'm glad you said. So I'm going to send that snippet.
Well, and also if you can even convince that client, like, look, the A+ candidates are going to come to us when we're working together. And if I can show them I'm a shorter path to getting in, and I'm also taking the burden off of the HR department, everybody wins.
It does.
Again, logic doesn't always work in that situation.
Yeah. All right. My last question for the night for me is, besides this long book of stuff that everybody's got to print off the site, I'm telling everybody, you go to Haley, even LinkedIn, when you click on Dave's, that's where I get most of your stuff, right off of LinkedIn. I click on that, and all your, you keep it so short, just 3 words, and then I'm clicking on it. And that's what I have to learn more, because that.
Well, it was the offer for free $100 bills that worked.
What's that?
It was the offer for free $100 bills that worked.
$3 bills. And oh my God, it's funny. What would you say to me or anybody out there for my biggest thing is the SEO? That's my question at the end for me is, what would you say the best advice, you starting that website, what is the best advice?
So the best advice for SEO, I think, know your audience. Because if you understand what motivates them, their desires, their fears, their dreams, not just when it comes to a job, but what problems do they have that they're looking for answers to? Okay. And that's the foundation for the content you create, so that it's extremely relevant to the audience. And SEO is, and the other thing is, SEO is a long game. Meaning, like, when we talk to a lot of companies, like, well, I want to be #1 for staffing agency in Scranton. Okay, that's wonderful. And maybe there were 100 people who searched that last month. Well, then there were 100 people who searched other variations of that. But collectively, job seekers in Scranton may have done 100,000 searches last month for different things that had nothing to do with staffing agency in. Okay. So the more you know the topics of interest, and we see this, we look at the number of keywords that drive traffic to a company's website. It's sort of like a hockey stick, that it goes like this. And so in the beginning, you don't have a lot of keywords driving traffic to you, but as you're writing about more and more of the issues your clients and candidates are focused on, the number of keywords driving traffic to you increases exponentially. I'm talking companies that go from like a couple of hundred keywords to many thousands in the course of a year to 2 years' time by consistently creating content.
All right, I know where I'll be hitting tomorrow, because like you said, you just made me think of while you were saying that, like all the hard points that, like, of candidate Janie, she's struggling to find a job. Listen to them and kind of write about it too, like a blog. Does that do anything?
Well, what's the frustrations of the job hunt? Write some story. How do you deal with those frustrations? Interview people, tell their stories. Good stories make good content, because the story's filled with lots of keywords.
Yeah, because that's what I wish I had of Raquel. So I wish I could pick everybody's, that perfect person, because that's the storyteller there. And that's what got me attracted to her, because she just does. I asked her the one time, I was like, how do you be yourself? Because especially on social media, would you hire, like right now you're watching this, would you hire him? Would you hire her? Worried about what you're saying or what you're doing. And we've had plenty of talks where she said, just be yourself. I mean,
yep.
You can't be if I fumble on something. And so I don't worry about it anymore.
No, Raquel's got it. Be human. The way she's sharing on social is like absolutely the right way to do it. So
now you know how to get to Instagram and all that over to a website when you build it, and you're going to be a queen like that. I mean, because that's what you're saying. Because if you have if you have a lot of people following you, that should open the door to a website so much easier, I would think. I mean, yeah, the bigger you're following, the more people want to know what you have to say and what you're sharing. Yeah. And Raquel, I turn to you for all the Instagram questions, because the only reason I'm on Instagram mostly is to follow what my kids are doing.
Right. Funny. That's why I got there on originally. But let me tell you, I have a 19 and 16-year-old. So I'm not even as active on Instagram as I probably would be if it weren't for the fact that my kids are on there and all their friends follow me. So sometimes I do get a little embarrassed about what I post. But my ex-husband's like, why do you care about what our kids think? I go, I don't know what to do. So I'm getting better at it. But yeah, it's great.
All right. That's great. So what's your turn, Raquel, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dave, and we're going to end the show.
Oh no, I love that question about SEO and all of that. I mean, I learned so much in these 56 minutes. And that's what's so cool. That, you can be in a certain industry and you can still learn so much. Right? There's still so much that I'm learning about branding and marketing. And that's what's so great is that we're always going to be learning, and especially with marketing and everything, it changes so quickly that as soon as you think that you have something down pat, you realize that like there's a new platform or something, the algorithms totally changed. So it's just always listening as to what people are doing and just learning to adapt and evolve. I mean, I talk about, hey, Madonna reinvents herself all the time to stay relevant. So we got to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And with Steve, the reason Steve was allowed to come on our interview, Dave, was because even though he's with another staffing company in Utah, with me having you on for the first time, it made it legitimate, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so this company must be legitimate. So like you said, when you know your brand or somebody, it kind of makes it like, wow, okay. Because everybody asks me, how do I get you to come on a show or a CEO? And I say, I ask.
All it takes.
Right? That's the thing too, is people get so intimidated and they get so scared by a number of like followers. They think that because you have a larger following means that you're like you're very untouchable. Sometimes it's the opposite, because nobody is reaching out to you because they think that you're somebody. That person just sitting there going, nobody's reaching out to me. Everyone's scared. So then when you do reach out, they're like quick to answer. That's happened to me when I reached out to
That's
people.
Great.
Yeah. So, Dave, if you just wanted to finish up and talk about Haley Marketing in a minute, and then we'll call it a night.
Sure. Now you got the thing that I actually stumble over the most. I'm not good at my own stump speech. But Haley Marketing, we've been. So our job, our original tagline was stand out, stay top of mind, sell more. Our business is making it easier to sell, easier to recruit, and we focus on the staffing industry. We are a team that started with 2 people 24 years ago, and now we have, I think, our 52nd started this week on our team with basically almost any area of marketing that the industry needs help. But what we like to do is share good ideas. And what I'd like to kind of leave everybody with, if you showed our staffing website, our smart marketing checklist, not our website checklist, that's a different one. But there's a URL I'll give to everybody. It's our company, haleymarketing.com, and then a /, and then it's COVID-recovery.
All right, I'll get that from you. We'll put it on.
Yeah, there. And so this guide's there, our smart recruiting checklist there, our guide to sales lead generation for staffing and recruiting's there, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we put together back in March and then updated in September, just to help staffing companies get through these really weird times that we're in.
That's what I can imagine, what you've going through from 96 now, COVID, Then COVID kind of slow. Now coming back with it coming back in Pennsylvania right now, and I'm not worried because I'm prepared. I feel like I'm prepared now because I was prepared for virtual. So I'm kind of, I want to say look forward to it, but I can take a candidate from point A and get them to the finish line without even seeing the person and doing everything completely to the finish.
Yeah, I just miss people in the office, but we're in the same boat. We're ready to go. We're ready to go remote, and we were prepared for it. Now it's weird that there's 4 people that come to our building every day.
So you're still not all together?
Still not all together, and right now, I'm guessing it won't be till next summer.
Wow. I guess, yeah, because you're in Buffalo, right?
We're in Buffalo, New York, and it's it's cold. Nobody wants to come outside anyway. So we've got at least 3-4 months. Everybody wants to come outdoors.
Wow. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody again. Thanks, Dave, for your time. I always appreciate it. Seriously. I mean, this is like Raquel said. You learn 1 hour. Wow, that went that long. But look what you can learn in that amount of time, and just by talking and printing out this list that I'm not gonna sleep. Thank you, because I'll be going over it tonight. Because at the end it says if you check so many, you can see how you're doing. I'm like, I know I'm gonna fail it. No, I shouldn't say that. But thanks a lot, everybody. Raquel, thanks for your time, and we're gonna end it. And you never know with Raquel, so we want to say end it. Here we go.